Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, Darklord Despia has received new support. Namely, in Ad Libitum of Despia, branded in red, and Masquerade, the Blazing Dragon. Let's talk quickly about all of these cards, as well as some other things that we have added to our Despia Darklord deck. So, real quick, let's talk about Ad Libitum. This card is mostly used for its second effect. If this card in the hand or field is used as fusion material and sent to the graveyard or banished, you can target one of your Despia monsters or a level 8 or higher fusion monster that is banished or in your graveyard, special summon it. This just allows you to use your branded in red to potentially send this guy as fusion material to then fusion summon into something and then get additional summons off of it. He's really good in the close to help you close out games by getting another body onto your field. So all in all, pretty solid, and he is searchable and special summonable off of the branded opening. You can search him off of Tragedy. There are ways to get to him. He's not that big of a brick as well, because, you know, Dark Fairy. On top of that, he does have a on-field effect, which is he just boosts all of your monsters by 100 attack for each of their levels. So some of your level 8 or higher monsters can gain 800 attack or more, so makes him pretty strong. And he can boost himself to a 2300 attack point monster. Not the worst, but not the greatest as well. Moving on, we are also playing Branded in Red. I already talked about this, but Branded in Red is an insanely powerful card. It's a bit of a brick, so we're only playing it at 1, same with the Ad Libitum. This card allows you to fusion summon by adding a Despia or Fallen Wallbaz from your graveyard to your hand, and then fusion summoning a level 8 or higher fusion monster by banishing fusion materials from your hand or field. This card is crazy, because it is a quick play fusion spell that allows you to fusion during your opponent's turn. The reason that this is so good is because it also gets your monsters back, but more importantly, you can go into Masquerade on your opponent's turn, you could go into Q, you could even go into Proskenion, or a first Darklord, given you have the materials. It's just another way to fusion summon during your opponent's turn, which is always good. Masquerade, on the other hand, is basically Chain Energy. If you don't know what Chain Energy does, your opponent must pay 600 life points to activate cards or effects. Just anytime they pay 600, they burn some damage, there you go. He's on a 2500 2k body, as well as he just requires a Despia monster and then a light or dark monster, much like Q. So very easy to summon for us. On top of that, if your opponent controls a Ritual, Fusion, Synchro, Exe, or Link monster while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon him. Now, I do want to say this. I will say this in every video that I make with this card. If he is summoned using his own effect, he no longer gets the effect of burning your opponent. Reason being, he is not a fusion summoned card. He is special summoned from the graveyard. That is the stipulation. Don't think that you're going to bring him back and just continue burning your opponent. Okay? Okay. Let's quickly do the card by card. First of all, I am playing the DPE package of Celestial, Dasher, and 2 Fusion Destiny, along with Verte Anaconda and Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. If you don't know this combo, let me quickly explain it. Basically, any 2 monsters turns into Verte Anaconda. You just need 2 effect monsters. What this card does is you pay 2,000 life points, you send Fusion Destiny to the graveyard, as well as the materials of Dasher and Celestial, which we will get into in a second, in order to bring out Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. Phoenix Enforcer, what this card does is, once per turn, it non-target destroys a card you control and a card on the field. Any card. You could even destroy 2 cards you control if you wanted to. And the reason that this is so good is because, 1, it doesn't target, as I mentioned, but 2, because it destroys both of them for effect, it means that both of them are destroyed at the same time. Meaning, if your opponent negates the effect, your DPE, or whatever it is that you chose to target, stays on the field. Pretty nice. But the main reason that this is so good is because if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon a Destiny hero monster from your graveyard during the standby phase of the next turn, including itself. So, every standby phase, you can bring this guy back. He just comes back. Unless your opponent tributes him, or banishes him, or something along those lines, he continuously comes back. On top of the fact that he decreases your opponent's monsters' attack by 400, as long as Celestial and Dasher are still in the grave. Absolutely insane card. Definitely is going to be played. If you haven't already even played against it, there you go. It's something that you are expected to see. Now, why are we running specifically Celestial and Dasher? Well, this does require a level 6 or higher hero monster and a Destiny hero monster. So we're just running the two best monsters for that. Dasher, when it's in the graveyard, allows you to special summon a monster if you draw it for a turn. So that's pretty nice. You just special summon something out, which you will see in the replays. Actually wins me a game, I'm pretty sure. And then Celestial, you can, if you have no other cards in your hand, you can banish it from the graveyard the turn, or not the same turn that it's sent to the graveyard. You can banish it in order to draw 2. You banish it and Dasher to draw 2. Absolutely insane. It's literally just Pot of Greed. So that's the all of the cards that you should probably know about. we're also playing the Despia stuff. I'm not going to explain this because I've explained it in so many other videos, but real quick, let's just do the card by card. We are playing the 2 Tragedy, the triple Aluber, the triple Branded Opening, the 1 Dramaturg, 1 Dramaturg, 1 Ad Libitum, 1 Theater, because we now have Branded in red, so we're also playing 1 of that. That's our Despia engine. We are also playing for the Darklord engine, triple Ixchel, 1 Morningstar, double Superbia, triple Banishment, and double Contact. For the rest of our cards, we are running triple Maxi, triple Ash Blossom, the Celestial and Dasher, and 2 Fusion Destiny. We're also running the 1 Nibiru, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 1 Foolish Burial to send a Tragedy to the graveyard most of the time. We're running 2 Super Poly. This card is going to be absolutely insane because you can... Most of the time, you're going to have an option with the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer being on the field, as well as the Verte. So there's that. Super Poly becomes that much better. Double Called By, and that is it. As for the extra deck, we are playing a few more Super Poly targets. We're still playing the Mud Dragon of the Swamp, the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, as well as Dragus Tepelio. The reason that we're playing this card is because it says a Fusion Monster and a Dark Monster. It's another Fusion Super Poly target, and it specifically can use DPE. Very, very nice. We also have 1 Despian Q. We put this down to 1. We don't summon it as often as the 2 Masquerades that we have in here. We also have the 1 Proskenion and 1 First Darklord. Again, this one was cut for the Masquerade. Then we have 1 Condemned, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Verte Anaconda, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Apollosa Bow of the Goddess, and 1 Access Code for our Link monsters. That's the deck. Let's hop into the duels and show you how this deck performs. Before we hop into the duels, let me just say that over 80% of the people who watch my content aren't subscribed. So if you find yourself coming back on the regular, you can always subscribe. And if you end up finding that you don't like the content anymore, you can always unsubscribe later. It's free, it's fun, and it allows me to continue making content for you guys on the daily. So if you like the content, consider subscribing. Anyway, let's hop into the duels. Alright, so here we are in our first duel, going second. We did draw Super Poly, so that is pretty nice for us. And here they activate their Terraforming to grab Magical Meltdown. They're playing Invoked, that makes sense. So they're going to grab up themselves the Alistair. I'm just going to go through this combo. Everyone knows this combo. And if you don't, I have a video where I've played Alistair. I have several videos where I've played Alistair. So you can go watch those to figure out what the combo does. Anyway, here comes out the Invoked Mekaba. They're going to set 2 and pass. Now, these 2 set cards are a little bit scary, but not that big of a deal. So, they're going to pass the turn, and we hope right now that we don't draw Driver. Driver is a dead card, but hopefully this banishment goes through. Now, notably, even if this banishment did not go through, and they did choose to negate it, one thing I do want to point out is Mekaba negates activations. Darklord cards specifically can only be activated once, not used once. Meaning, if you activate this card and the activation gets negated, you can activate another one. So, if they ended up negating our banishment, we just drop down this other one, and we would have another way to search. However, we do need to kind of draw cards here, so I'm going to search out the Ixchel here. And then I'm just going to actually set a card and hope that they go into something that I can Super Poly away, because Super Poly. They're going to normal summon the Invoker, which I'm totally okay with. Go for it. They are going to then Link summon into a Predaplant Verte Anaconda, to the which I say, go for it, homie. They're going to pay the 2,000 in order to go for the DPE. They had, I believe, Dasher in hand. Feels bad. But as soon as DPE comes out, they are going to go to the battle phase. I'm going to go, no battle phase for you. We're going to pitch this driver to Super Poly away their monsters into Dragostepelio, the new inclusion in the deck. Dragostepelio is just a monster negate. That's why we have it. And at this point, I noticed that both of the back row were now turned off. So I don't know what they are, but they're not doing anything, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, we are going to draw a branded opening for turn, which is absolutely insane. We're going to go for the banishment here, search out the Superbia. And at this point, we could just Ixchel and then go for Superbia. And my opponent realizes, after I drop this contact, that the game is basically over. We bring out the Superbia and they scoop it up, realizing they don't have anything, and we can full combo. So, there you go. Good game. We beat Invoke. Alright, and here we are with a dead hand, once again. Oh man, it feels good. But my opponent is playing Lyrilisc Tri-Brigade. So, I am going to pitch this Max C from my hand in order to draw some cards off of the Turquoise Warbler that they have here. So, potentially we could draw into something a little bit better. Now, I do have Nibiru, but I ended up breaking again with the Celestial draw. Feels bad. We do end up eventually drawing into something decent. We draw a branded opening, which is very nice here. So, they're going to pass turn on a Lyrilisc Assembled Nightingale, which is a bit of a problem for us because this card can't be destroyed by battle or card effect, and we can't deal damage to it as long as it has materials to detach. So, there's that. Kind of a problem, and we don't really have anything that we could like Super Poly a wind monster into, so there you go. We're going to activate our banishment here in order to search a card, and they're just going to immediately go for the Assembled Nightingale, which is okay, not like I could do anything. We're going to get our search here for the Ixchel. And then I'm going to go for the Ixchel effect to draw 2. The reason I do this, you may be wondering, is because I was trying to bait out an Ash Blossom to see if they would bite. I don't want to be locked into fusions with the branded opening if I can help it before, getting ashed. And I really do want this to resolve, / need it to resolve. I actually pitched the Nibiru, which I don't know if this was the best choice because I know that I'm playing against Tri-Brigade Lyrilisc, which does special summon a bunch. So I don't know. It definitely wasn't the right choice. I probably should have just pitched the Morningstar, but all in all, it's not that big of a deal. Anyway, we will go for the Theater here, and then we will fusion summon into 3. This is why I did end up using the Nibiru, because I did want to go into the first Darklord, but I think it would have been better just to go into something like Masquerade. Anyway, we bring back the Superbia with the first Darklord's effect, and then use the first Darklord Superbia to bring back the Ixchel, and then Ixchel to search out a contact. The reason I search out contact here is because 1, I'm locked into fusions, so I can't go into like a Link monster or something like that. 2, I haven't actually activated contact this turn. But 3, and most importantly, is the fact that it gives additional recursion that we can actually utilize to bring back things like the first Darklord or what have you. So I'm now going to go for the Fusion Destiny because, again, I'm locked into fusions, can't really go for anything else here. So we will go for the DPE and then set the Super Poly and pass the turn. Now here I'm worried that this just attacks in directly and then they just go into a Zeus, which is a bit of a problem. Zeusing this board literally kills me. However, with Super Poly and well, actually with Super Poly, yeah, I'd have to, okay. What I'm thinking is, if they did end up trying to go for Zeus, I'd have to bring back the first Darklord, or activate the first Darklord in order to bring back a Despia card. Then, with that Despia card, we could use the Despia and a light monster, which Zeus is, in order to go into one of our fusions, something like Masquerade or something along those lines. But they end up just continuing from here in order to go for a Cobalt Sparrow. They will get the, Sapphire Swallow to bring out the Celestial Wagtail. And then they go into the oh my gosh, Recital Starling. I'm going to try and pop their monster. Now, this is a bit of a mistake for me. I should have just held the DPE because there was no need to try and stop them here. I know that this prevents them from being destroyed. That's what they're holding it for. If they decide to go into the Utopic Draco Future, I can just Super Poly it away because they give me a light monster, and again, we can bring out the first Darklord. So this was a rather large mistake from me, just wasting DPE's activation here. But I did want to use the DPE activation to then send Superbia to the grave so that I could special summon back with Superbia. another card. There's no need to do that and to complicate it. I could have just popped the DPE as well, but I decided to do this, and this is a big mistake. We're going to bring back the Superbia here, though, and then Superbia will bring back the Aluber. So at this point, we know that if they go into a light or a dark monster, we are able to Super Poly it away. So they're going to search out the Turquoise Warbler, which, okay. And then they go for the Utopic Future. Now, I don't actually Super Poly away this card because there's no real point. Might as well make them commit to a few more monsters in their extra deck. And at this point, since I know that this is a light, I'm going to pitch the Contact, which, again, another mistake from me. I should have just pitched the Branded in Red that I searched off of Aluber. Then I could have had the Contact for me to bring back a first Darklord that may end up dying. So, all in all, 2 rather large mistakes from me, but you'll see that it may not end up mattering. They're going to pay 6 for both of these cards' effects, so they special summon, then they search out the Nerval, and reminder, they haven't normaled. So if they normal summon the Nerval effect is going to activate. They're going to go for 1, 2, 3, and 4, which means Shureg is sure to be summoned. So they're going to activate their Shureg. They're going to pay 600, and then they are going to banish our Masquerade, which is very funny. But okay. And then here they go, Access Code Talker. Now, they just went into Turquoise Warbler, Nerval, and Cobalt Sparrow. They could have gone for an Xe monster. I'm sure that there's still Xe monsters for them to go into. They could still go into another Recital Starling. If they're playing the Assembled Nightingale... No. Ensemble Blue Robin, they could go into that and then attack over. Doesn't really matter. They could go into something and then go into Zeus. Zeus wins them the game right here. They don't. So I still have a chance. They go into Access Code. They're going to chain a whole bunch of things. They're going to go Nerval into Shureg into Access Code. And Access Code is going to target the Shureg, so it's going to be a 630 after the DPE gets destroyed here. So they're going to search out the Karos, and then they are also going to search out a Fractal here. And then they continue comboing because they currently only have 1 target for this access code. So they're going to activate Fractal, and Fractal, again, here's another mistake from them. Just want to mention, realistically, sending Kit for extra material by sending Nerval, not that big of a deal. You have many targets that you can banish for any of your Link summons with the Tri-Brigade. So it would have been better to send something like a Cobalt Sparrow or something along those lines for your Lyrilisc package, just so that you have something else for your Lyrilisc package. But they're going to go for the Karos special summon by sending the Barrel Canary, and then special summon, send 2, banish 2 to special summon out the Bear Brum, and then go for the Link summon of Rugal. Bear Brum's effect is going to activate in order to search out the Revolt, and then stack the other card, or send the other card to the deck. Then they are going to access code us, because now they have 3 different targets that they can go for. They have the Bear Brum, they have the Shureg, which they just banished, and the Rugal, since they are all different attributes. We're just going to let them pop our DPE, because he'll come back. Then we are going to protect our first Darklord. This, I probably didn't need to actually end up protecting this, because he probably would have popped something else, and then I could have just brought it back. Either way, this is another mistake for me, but they're going to pop the first Darklord here again, and for some reason, I decide not to activate the... I decide to not activate the effect of Ixchel here, because I can bring back with the Theater. In reality, that was a worse decision. Here's why. Had I brought back the first Darklord with the Ixchel, he could have potentially attacked into the first Darklord, which then it doesn't do anything, and there you go. But if he chooses to attack it into an Ixchel or something like that, I could have also brought back the DPE. Now, I should have brought back DPE, because then I could have just popped the Revolt, brought back the DPE again, popped the access code, and then brought back the DPE again, and just continued, like, playing DPE control. With Branded in Red as well, we could just close out the game right here. Again, I make a mistake, go for the first Darklord. He's big, he's nice, but he doesn't end the game for us. So, kind of a problem. I drew Harpy's Feather Duster, which is funny, but it doesn't really do anything. But as soon as the DPE comes down, they are going to go for the Revolt. They're going to go for 4 summons here and bring out a Shureg. So here comes Shureg. They're going to banish a monster non-target. And I actually do him a favor by activating Branded in Red here. and you'll see in a sec. They're going to just stack their effects here. And I am going to activate my DPE as well in chain so that I can pop the access code at the very least. And then I'm going to activate the branded in red, and I'm going to actually send away this first Darklord. Again, I'm very dumb, but it's fine, because I do go into Q. The reason I go into this guy, he has a floating effect, which can potentially win me this game, because if it gets banished, I can special summon something else out. So I'm going to activate the effect of the Q, and then the DPE, so that I can get it back during the standby phase of the next turn. We're then going to fusion into the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, and I noticed that my opponent has 5,600 life points, which is just enough for lethal with this combo. Hence why I go for the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. So he's going to boost up by the 3k of the Shureg, and then we are going to special summon out the Dramaturg. And at this point, I can just walk in and deal lethal damage. I got there, but it wasn't the cleanest. We still beat probably still the best deck of the format, I would say. So there you go. Alright, so here we are in the third duel, and a lot happens in this duel, so I'm not going to cover it as much as I did the previous one. But we actually drew a fairly decent hand, Ixchel and Superbia, as well as Banishment. So I'm going to activate the Banishment here in order to search out Morningstar, since we already have our Contact in hand. So I'm going to Contact. They have the Maxi. Literally nothing I can do about that. So I knew that this was coming, so instead we are just going to special summon out our Ixchel here, instead of Superbia, so that they don't get as many draws. Ixchel effect is going to activate. We're going to search out another Contact as follow-up, and then I'm just going to activate this Fusion Destiny to go for a DPE, and we will pass on DPE Ixchel. Not the greatest, but it's something. And seeing as how I have Nibiru in hand, I was like, there's a small likelihood that I die, but it's probably not very high through DPE. And they normal summon a Tragedy, and then they super poly me, and I was like, you didn't need to do that, but okay. So they go for the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, then go for the Despia Theater of the Branded, and attack in for 400, and then 28. Okay. And then they set 3 and pass. I'm like, wow, okay. 3 set cards is kind of hard to deal with, and especially with an Ash Blossom per turn. But I'm going to drop the Contact. It goes through. Fantastic. Superbia effect. It goes through. Fantastic. So we special summon out the Ixchel, and then we tribute summon for Morningstar. And I know what you're thinking. Why in the world did you tribute summon for Morningstar instead of going for something like Condemned, which then could have gotten you another normal? The reason for it is because I figured they had something like Torrential or something along those lines, which would have prevented my Condemned from actually doing anything. This forces a response. It forces a response, and I'm like, hey, at the very least, I have Nibiru. If they want to overcommit, potentially I win this. Turns out, they have Forbidden Droplets. So they're going to send their Tragedy to the graveyard in order to Forbidden Droplets my Darklord. My Morningstar. Also, Morningstar's 3k, which is very, very good because Starving Venom Fusion Dragon is 28. So, there you go. They are going to Raigeki me and then proceed to the battle phase. I'm on 1,000 life points. Holy crap. I might just die. I have to top deck really well here. And I top deck Dramaturg, and immediately I'm thinking, before I activate Dasher, I'm like, I bricked, I lose. And then Dasher's little indicator pops up and it's like, do you want to special summon this monster? And I'm like, I could win this game. So, out comes Dramaturg. I just go straight to battle phase because I literally have nothing else. And they super poly. That is a huge mistake. They go into Masquerade. Okay, that's not great, but at the very least I can bring back the Dramaturg and just attack right on over them. At this point, I can't act. I have 400 life points. There's no Darklord cards that I can activate, but my opponent is also on top deck situation. So it's top deck versus top deck, basically. But I have a 3k monster on my side of the field, and they don't. So they go for Banishment. Turns out, I have the response. So I'm going to Ash Blossom them. Feels good. It finally got used. I was thinking of setting that card as well. I'm very glad I didn't. They go to the end phase, and we pass the turn. I True Called By. Not the greatest, but we'll dome them for 3k again. They're going to brick, not get anything that they can use, pass the turn. I draw for turn, another Called By. Gosh dang it. Okay, set the Called By, battle, 3k, one more turn, we can do this. Okay, next turn, they go for Contact. Now, I noticed 2 targets. They have 2 targets. If I Called By both of them, it fizzles. Nothing happens. So called by number 1, targeting Excel. Called by number 2, targeting the Tez. Banish them both, you get nothing. End phase, end of the game, thank you very much. I won because of Dasher. This is why DPE is so insane. I also Harvey's Feather Dusted them there because I can. But there you go, that's the game. So, I hope now you kind of understand why we play Dasher and Celestial with DPE, and why DPE is so incredibly insane. On top of that, this deck is crazy. This deck actually does pretty well. It can compete with top tier decks because of things like DPE and Masquerade, just forcing them to answer it in some way. As well as just, I mean, first Darklord is still a house. Being able to wipe your opponent's board, or just being able to sit on an untargetable monster is very problematic for a lot of decks. One thing that I always do miss with any Darklord deck is when I'm not able to play Tez. Tez is a crazy card. Tezcatlipoca. It protects a lot of things, and it makes your first Darklord very strong, just because him not being able to be destroyed is very nice. However, with Branded Opening, we oftentimes don't need the Tez, so it's nice, but you know, sometimes you want that battle protection. Anyway, all in all, this is a very solid deck. Definitely could get you to diamond. So if you're looking for a top tier deck, this isn't it, but it's very fun. So anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, a like is very much so appreciated. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.